Today, a federal judge overturns the national eviction ban put forth by the CDC, and vaccine passports coming soon to a state near you. We've got a lot coming up today, and it starts right now. Welcome to the news and why it matters. I am Sarah Gonzalez, today joined by, back by popular demand, Ami Horowitz, filmmaker. Ami Horowitz, we got a double dose of him today.
Love it. Can't get enough of it.
Yeah, I mean, the people, we got to give them what they wanted, which was more Ami Horowitz. Also joined by Pac Ray of Pac Ray Unleashed. The people also want more Pac Ray.
Sure. I'm sure.
They do, actually. All right, and I'm sure, Stu's not here. He's out of town, but we have Ami in place of him. No pressure, Ami. It's
big shoes to fill.
Yes, exactly.
Big shoes to fill.
No pressure. But all right, so the federal judge has struck down today the national eviction moratorium that... This is such a bizarre story. The CDC, in case you guys have forgotten, the CDC was the one who banned these evictions. And yes, I do mean the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, just in case it was not like a weird housing unit that's called the CDC. No, I mean the actual CDC was the department that banned most of these evictions. It was slated to expire at the end of January, but President Biden extended it first until April and then later through June. But a federal judge has now overturned it. Now, of course, the story that I read was like potentially leaving millions of Americans at risk of losing their homes 2 months earlier than expected. And then it talks about, 1 in 5 renters across the U.S. are struggling to keep up with their payments. And it's just interesting to me because nowhere in here does it mention the landlords who also have bills to pay.
You mean owners?
Yeah.
No, that's not a thing they care about.
Apparently not.
Private ownership is not, and I say that, and it's not even hyperbolic.
Yeah, no, it's not.
There's a war on private ownership. And this is, look,
you won't own anything and you will love it.
The left loves this pandemic. I hate to say it. This is what they were always looking for, an excuse to increase the purview of the federal government. That's ultimately what they want, and this has given them the keys to the card. This is now what they can do. The further they can extend, this is why when you go back to what Fauci said, we're just barely halfway through the 6th inning, right? Because they want us to go into overtime, to extra innings, whatever sports. Not if it was Glenn, he would know what I'm talking about. But
so true.
They want to keep this going because they want to extend the powers of the federal government. It's what they've always wanted, and this has given them the excuse.
Pat,
where did the CDC get the power? That's never been adequately explained to me.
No.
How does the CDC do an eviction ban on landowners? It's like the National Hospital Association doing price control on grocery stores. Sorry, you can't raise your prices. What? Where do you get your authority? I mean, it doesn't even make sense. I suppose it's through some FEMA emergency thing, or I don't know where, but it's got to be unconstitutional to begin with.
Well, I mean, since when does this administration care all about the Constitution?
Yeah, they don't care at all.
Well, when the Supreme Court packs, then they'll be able to uphold it.
You're right.
Yeah.
You think that's not where we're going?
Oh, for sure it is.
How soon do you think?
I don't think it's going to get through, but they're pushing for it.
Yeah.
It won't work. They won't be able to get through.
Well, now. But
again, if we don't, I don't know how many times I can say this. If we lose in 2 years, right? If we don't gain control of the House and the Senate, they need to all be fired. Every single one of those Republicans need to be fired because we somehow they screwed this thing up.
Yeah.
Totally agree. Pat, it's just frustrating because I read all of this, these hot sports opinions, these hot takes on this ban. And it's like a lot of people who I think that they want to feel warm and fuzzy inside. And they're like, how can you do this to people? But they just lost their job. How could you do that? It wasn't their fault. The COVID-19 pandemic, they probably would get mad that I say that it originated in China. So it's the China flu. But the fact remains that through no fault of their own, this pandemic hit and they were left without a job. And how horrible to just not support them. What would you say to that?
I would say there's, as Ami mentioned, there are landowners to take into consideration as well. There are people who who count on that money coming in from rent or mortgage payments that have to live as well.
Yeah.
And so you've got to let the market work here. You got to trust in the system. And it is unfortunate that the federal government caused so many problems here with shutdowns and unnatural forces being brought to bear on the market. But at some point you got to say, okay, enough is enough. It's been over a year now. You can't be. How long does this go on?
I mean, as long as we let them, I would think.
Yeah.
Ami, well, they're just rich people, these landowners. They're just really rich people, and they can take the hit. Right?
Landowners, it's like some nobility in England who's got, 100,000 acres. I mean, no, they and by the way, most of these people are, like you alluded to, most of these people are hardworking people who own a home or an apartment building. This is their livelihood. But again, it's all about, right? It's all about the sharing of all income equally. It's all about, right, equity, ownership. What does equity mean? It means ownership. Everybody needs to own a piece of it. If you own something by yourself, no matter how much work, hard work, and sweat you put into it, you don't deserve it. It needs to be shared by the commons, right? And this is again, I don't want to be apocalyptic about this, but we are heading down a path.
We deal with Glenn Beck, that's fine.
Right.
Yeah, it's communism.
We're heading down the path, and they can say all day long that, you're using the C word or the M word, you're being ridiculous. It's not. They really believe in those principles, the principles of Marxism and communism. And I'm not talking about, they believe in social democracy like in Europe. They're beyond that now.
Oh, yeah.
We're not talking about that anymore.
Yeah.
Okay? We're talking about the destruction, the war on excellence, which we've had for years, and it's a war on private ownership and on ownership at all. And this is an example of that.
All right, so let's move to the vaccine passports I do think it's interesting because when all of this started and they started saying we have mask mandates now and we have all these things, and then we started talking about, it wasn't just 15 days to slow the spread. Now it is wait until you get vaccinated. But by the way, once you get vaccinated, you still can't return to normal life. I made a comment about, these like mandated vaccines. This is where we're headed. And I was called a conspiracy theorist and all these types of things. And now here we are. On this show, several times now, we've had to cover the topic of vaccine passports because it's a real thing that people are trying to push, especially over in Washington State. Governor Jay Inslee released his immediate plan to partially roll back COVID-19 restrictions on religious gatherings and sporting events. I know it's odd, especially for people here in Texas, to hear that there are still restrictions. A lot of states are like that, though. But the plan's primary focus is on utilizing vaccine passports. So under the updated guidance, the following are acceptable as proof of full vaccination: vaccination card, or a photo of a vaccination card as a separate document, or a photo of the attendee's vaccine card stored on a phone. And that is the way that you can get in to religious gatherings, sporting events, and things of that nature. And by the way, in phase 2 of the plan, religious gatherings can increase their overall facility capacity to 50%. Wow, congrats, guys, 50%, if vaccinated only sections are implemented. So now we've got, you're talking about class warfare, Ami. How is vaccinated versus unvaccinated for you?
First of all, if they deem you a flight risk when you're arrested, they take away your vaccination passport also?
I don't know. That's a great point.
I don't know how that
works.
And then
you can't go to the Ed Sheeran concert if you get your vaccine passport taken away, so you're in trouble.
First of all, talking about sports, I mean, getting a ticket to a basketball game it was always expensive. Now it's like triple the price because they still don't have a lot of people outside of Texas, of course. But in New York and Los Angeles and other places, they're expensive tickets to get because you can't go see these games. Look, I don't know where are we headed with this? I mean, I don't have a response.
It's more control.
We've left him speechless.
First time ever.
We've left him speechless.
It's just they just keep grabbing for more control, and this is another way to control us. This is a "can I see your papers, please" kind of situation.
It really is.
I mean, it's really chilling. It's really chilling what's going on. And the left is fine with it. In fact, more than fine with it. They're excited about it.
They love it.
They're in love with this situation. They love the masks. They love the fact that you can't go into places without the mask. Mm-hmm. They love the passports. They love the vaccine. I mean, some of these videos that are coming out from these people who have gotten vaccinated, have you seen the songs and the dances and the
most bizarre
celebrations that I got vaccinated? Some guy tattooed a permanent Band-Aid on his arm where he got the vaccine so that he can always have that reminder that that's where I got my vaccine. Are you insane? Did people do this with the measles vaccine? I don't remember that. Or polio. I remember as a kid getting a little sugar cube. You're probably too young for that. But I got the sugar cube when I was a kid.
Are you a horse?
That's how they treated us.
And then you got it tattooed on your shoulder?
As a matter of fact, no. No, I didn't. I took the sugar cube. He got that in prison.
The tattoo was from prison.
Took the sugar cube, didn't get polio, and that was the end of it. And so that would be nice.
And then you moved on with your life.
If we kind of move on with our lives now. Okay, you got the vaccine. Good for you. Let's move on.
So where's your, I haven't seen your song and dance for getting the COVID vaccine, Ami.
It's good.
Is it?
It's good. Yes, it's very. Look, I was happy to get it. I got it.
You did get it?
He did get it.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Why not?
I can just imagine the comments right now hearing that Ami got the vaccine. It's fine. It's your choice. That's
my body, my choice.
Finally, it's an actual argument that applies. It is actually your body. We're not talking about a tiny human inside of your body. It is actually your body, and it should be your choice. And I think that that's really, at the end of the day, that's what we're advocating for.
Notice how the left doesn't feel that way about this particular choice.
Isn't it bizarre?
However. Yeah.
Look, I got it because I wanted to be able to do what I wanted to do. The problem is that was taken away from me. I got the vaccine and nothing changed. Literally, where I live in New York,
have to do your
nothing
mask.
changed, which is
social distance.
It's so bizarre. They're jumping up and down saying, get vaccinated, get vaccinated. At the same time, nothing will change for you if you do get vaccinated. What kind of endorsement is that for a vaccine which has the highest efficacy rate of any vaccine in the history of humanity, which was put together in a few months by who? Not President Biden, by President Trump. We forget about that because Biden takes all the credit. He's a credit hog.
He is.
Did you have any reaction? Did you
no,
have
in
side
fact,
effects?
they told me you have to stay in this room for 15 minutes. I'm like, I'm not staying in this room for 15 minutes. I'm out of here. I got the vaccine. I just took off all these sheep just sitting there like fools for this 15 minutes, and I was like, I'm
Which one did you get?
I love this.
Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson. Was it a one-shot?
It was a two-shot.
It was a two-shot.
Grilling Ami on what was the lot number? Do you have your vaccination card? Can you show me right
Where's
now?
Where's your papers? Let's see your papers.
Why are you at this table without showing us your vaccination card? It is really bizarre, though. I keep wondering, there's going to be a challenge to this vaccinated versus unvaccinated only, because when you look at, we're talking about it, and I know you're happy to share the information, but you really are infringing on people's medical privacy.
What happened to HIPAA?
Right. Their medical privacy is supposed to still be a thing, and I know that a lot of people are totally fine talking about it, but there are some people who maybe just don't want to share their vaccination status. So it's going to be interesting to see how this vaccinated section and unvaccinated section works out.
It's so funny. So Dennis Schroeder, I always like to pivot to the Lakers, so I'm a Lakers fan.
Okay.
But Dennis Schroeder of the Lakers did not get vaccinated. He was being interviewed, and he outed LeBron as being the only other Laker who wasn't vaccinated. And LeBron did not, he was never asked about vaccination. He never said it. And Dennis Schroeder outed him as a person not getting vaccinated. I thought that was fascinating.
That's great.
That is interesting.
Stu would appreciate that.
If he can get the anti-Semitism vaccine, that'd be even better. But I don't think LeBron has gotten that yet.
Yeah, I don't hold your breath for that one. All right, we've got a lot more to come. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Omega XL. So if you are one of many Americans, you just live in constant pain. Maybe it's your knee, your neck, whatever the case may be. Usually, what you don't realize is that it's likely inflammation that is causing your pain, and unless you defeat the inflammation, it can cause permanent damage. That is where Omega XL comes in. It is backed by 35 years of clinical research, which, by the way, I might add, way more research, way more years of clinical research than the COVID-19 vaccine. Omega XL actually attacks the inflammation that is causing your pain. So don't go get like some topical rub and rub it on your shoulder and you're like, oh my God, this feels awesome for 10 minutes. And then it sucks and you hurt again. All right. Omega XL neutralizes the inflammation that causes your painful stiff joints and muscles. It is an essential fatty acid combination from the waters of New Zealand. And I know there are a lot of you out there who are like, oh, that sounds way too natural for me, but it works. Okay. So you got to try it, especially if you're in pain. It can be life-changing. Go to omegaxl.com/news right now. If you order Omega XL, you will get a second bottle for free at omegaxl.com/news. Back in a minute. Michigan's governor, Gretchen Whitmer, who is just a real peach, if I might say. Isn't she lovely? She is just wonderful. Just like the female version of Hitler right there. I mean,
not too extreme at all, right?
I said what I said,
yeah,
all right? I said what I said. She reportedly asked a group of wealthy Detroit businessmen to borrow a private jet so that she could travel to Florida in March. This was, of course, right at the time that Florida had a COVID-19 variant that Whitmer later told her own residents, don't travel to Florida. And turns out that she was there, and but she had to go check on her father, so it's totally okay.
Yeah, other people don't need to check on relatives.
No,
nah,
please,
we
not
don't
the
have
peasants.
None of us have fathers.
No,
As your parents were dying in an old age home,
Right.
they said you cannot go see
Can't go.
them.
Yep.
Can't go see them.
She wouldn't let people go from where they lived in Detroit to their cabins.
Yeah, to their own lake
their
house.
own lake house. So the hypocrisy is amazing. And Mayor Lightfoot did the same kind of thing. You remember when she had the ban on going to hair salons?
Yeah, oh yes.
And that very night went to a hair salon.
Yeah, but okay, you're not telling the whole story. And I see this is misinformation right here.
Right.
She says specifically because she's on TV.
Right.
So hey,
Right.
dude, she's on TV and special.
She also
Could
made
you believe that she just
That was her. Yes.
I
Yeah.
mean, just proudly gave that excuse. There was nothing wrong with it.
She also
It's
mentioned
incredible.
she cares about her hygiene.
That's right. She did say that.
None of the little people
I'm sorry.
do.
Yes, I missed
We
that. I missed
can't
that,
care
but
about our
I buried the
hygiene.
lead on that.
Do peasants shower?
No.
Please.
No.
They don't even care about
Wasn't
that.
there a governor who said you can't take your boats onto a lake, and then her husband took his boat on the lake? Wasn't there Governor Whitmer, right?
Yeah, that was her.
Whitmer.
That was her. So this is not her first rodeo.
And how come we aren't doing this into a climate change story? Shouldn't that be the discussion about how she took a private jet to Florida?
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't she care about that?
The environment. Wow.
Right?
It's funny because it's almost like the more and more we look into what the Democrats' actions are and not what they're saying, it's almost like they don't believe any of the crap that comes out of their mouths.
I would have given her a pass to do this if she was going to Florida to take lessons from Governor DeSantis on how to be a governor. Then I'd be cool with it. Yeah. I would have allowed her to, I would have given her the hypocrisy. I would have been okay with it.
I just have to wonder, if you're in Michigan right now, even as a Democrat, don't you think some of these people are going, man, what did we do? Who did we elect here? Because you're making me, I can't even go to my damn lake house.
I don't know.
And you're traveling all the way around, all the way around the country in a private jet. You don't think so?
Excuse all that stuff.
Really?
It seems like it. Doesn't seem like the left doesn't really care about that much.
Well, you've got Rachel Levin, who just got escalated to Assistant Secretary of HHS, who went back in Pennsylvania, did the same thing with what was it? The mom in the nursing home.
She took her mom. She had people like the governor, like Andrew Cuomo. Mm-hmm. She forced old age homes to keep coronavirus patients. They died because of that decision, but not her mom. Yeah. She took her mom out prior to that, knowing what was coming down the pike.
Incredible.
And now she basically got rewarded for it, right? She got a huge promotion.
Yeah, nice job in the administration.
It's amazing, incredible. Well, I was trying to be optimistic and say that maybe people who live in Michigan are sick of it, but you guys are like.
The only evidence I've ever seen of anybody kind of revolting over what their left-wing governor has done is California. Yeah, where that thing in the French Laundry with Gavin Newsom really pissed him off. Well, that was a final straw for them.
And that's why I'm wondering. I mean, Michigan, you've got Gretchen Whitmer doing the same exact thing.
Yeah.
She's not going to French Laundry, but it's the same thing. She's saying
same kind of deal.
Yeah, she's saying rules for thee, but not for me. So you have to wonder. What are your thoughts on the special election in California? Now that you brought it up.
Curious. What aspect of it? Whether it's going to happen?
Caitlyn Jenner's running. Who else? There's a bunch of people.
I think just about anybody would be better than Gavin Newsom.
Yeah.
And Caitlyn Jenner is interesting. She's pretty conservative, considering the.
Speeches look, two people on your show were rendered speeches. How often does that happen?
Considering
killing me today.
Not even sure what to call it. Considering because I don't want a dead name.
I know.
And I don't want to go back into history.
That's what happens to me every time I have to cover that topic, and I'm like, all right, I'm about to piss one side off because whatever pronoun you use, you're gonna make one side mad, and then the other side so there's no winning.
She has been like. By the way, I love the first thing when she was on Hannity, he was like, let's talk about the Olympics when you won, and right into that. And look, but the point is that there's a huge divide between the younger people who are trans and the older people who are trans. The older people, they don't care about this dead naming. It doesn't matter to them.
That's true.
They just want to live their lives. They want to refresh what it was before. They don't care. It's fine. It's who I was. But it's the young people who are revolted. And by the way, Caitlyn Jenner is totally against having trans women play in sports, against cis women, regular women.
Who I think would be that is a pretty qualified expert opinion right there.
I think
it covers all the bases.
I think Caitlyn might have a little bit of an expertise on that issue. But the CDC should be deciding that, really.
That's a great point. That is a great point. It'll be interesting to see. I know the left has already come out and they're really, really mad at her for running. I saw one tweet today that was like, who was it? Billy Eichner? I don't know. I guess he's a gay man in Hollywood. I don't know what he's done.
Oh, he's so untalented.
Is he? Okay,
he is the most popular untalented person
really I've
ever come across.
Well, he tweeted out, Caitlyn is the enemy. And I was like, damn, that's some strong language for someone who you're supposed to be advocating for. I thought
that's great. I want him to make the more they call people who are left of center enemies, the more they're going to rush to our side. Good, let them do that. I want that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Let them divide their own house. I think that's great.
That's a great point. Okay, you know what? Just for the hell of it, since we got on this topic, we do have the Caitlyn for California, her first political ad. Let's watch that.
Famed Olympic gold medalist Caitlyn Jenner is now entering a new race for the governor of California.
I've always been a dreamer. California was once the envy of the world. We had what everyone else wanted. The American dream grew up here. Yet career politicians and their policies have destroyed that dream. It's been locked away, closed, shuttered, left in the dark, burned down. The government is now involved in every part of our lives. They've taken our money, our jobs, and our freedom. California needs a disruptor, a compassionate disruptor. I came here with a dream 48 years ago to be the greatest athlete in the world. Now I enter a different kind of race, arguably my most important one yet, to save California.
All right,
I want to carry the torch for the parents.
So
that is really interesting. Look at all the images that they use.
Exactly.
That from her former life when she was a he.
Yep.
And the greatest athlete in the world. I mean, that's amazing. And so I'm not surprised that she has the feeling she does, because had she made that transition in 1976 or 75 or whatever, when she was starting to feel, those feelings, and had we had the same mindset in 76, and she just decided she felt like a woman, she would have destroyed the competition in virtually whatever sport she wanted to try her hand, because she was really good at 10 different events. She could have destroyed that field of women. So she's got some pretty good knowledge about that. And for her to use those images is kind of an in-your-face to all the dead naming and the dead personing and all the nonsense the left comes up with. That's interesting.
Yeah, I also thought the not just those images, but the images of what California looks like right now. Because if you go there, that was not, I mean, that is California all over the place. You ride down the highway and it is just filled with homeless camps and just dirty and needles all over the place. I mean, it's just, it's
horrifying. It's a shame what's happened to San Francisco.
Really is.
San Francisco and Los Angeles especially.
Yeah.
It's pathetic.
It really is. All right, let's see. You know what? Let's go ahead and take a break. And when we get back, let's talk border. First, we want to thank our sponsor, iTarget Pro. So in 2020, over 8 million guns were sold. And, you know, it's funny because we keep like setting records for gun sales. So it turns out, just like with President Obama, that whenever you have a Democrat president, they just happen to be like the best gun salesman that you could ever ask for. However, the problem with that is that cost of ammo has been driven through the roof, okay? There are a lot of people, even here in Texas, we can't find freaking ammunition. You can't find it, and then when you can't find it, it's too expensive. Don't let that happen to you and decide I'm just not going to train with my firearm anymore. You got to give iTarget Pro a try. It actually, that's why it was invented, to give law-abiding citizens a cost-effective way to train in the safety and privacy of their own home. So you don't have to go to the range. You don't have to find the ammunition wherever you can finally find it. All you have to do is you get iTarget's app, you load it onto your phone, and then you get the laser bullet that comes in all different calibers, whatever gun you have, and then you can start your training experience. You dry fire, okay? Those who are in the military will tell you dry fire training is really what's going to help you. You develop muscle memory, you sharpen target reaction speed, you can really learn the pull of your weapon. Like I have a 380 at home and the pull is so long, I feel like I'm pulling for 3 years. iTarget Pro has really helped me with my trigger pull as well. You can go to itargetpro.com for 10% off and free shipping. Use offer code NEWS. I'm telling you guys, check it out. It pays for itself just in what you're going to save in range fees and ammunition costs. It's itargetpro.com, 10% off with offer code NEWS. A Democrat from Texas, Representative Henry Cuellar, accused the Biden administration of misleading the public about the purported success of its immigration policies. So DHS just recently released these photos of a migrant processing facility in the border town of Donna. And they were like, look, it's empty. We did it. We solved this. They wouldn't call it a crisis, but they would say we solved this issue that we have handled. Okay, we solved it. But the problem is that actually the children who were previously in those plastic cages are still in the tent compounds. They're just like right next door. So they've just transported them from one place to the other. And again, like I just feel like I have to remind you guys, this is a Democrat who's saying this.
Yeah, Henry Cuellar is pissed off. Mm-hmm. He is a radical Democrat on this issue normally, but he's looking out for the migrants and he wants things to actually change on the border. So he's not going along with the administration lies. It's really nice to see. Henry Cuellar has been difficult to deal with on border issues for a long time. But he's been great on this so far.
So what is it that he's not advocating for, like, his people are in too much danger? He's just mad that the children are being treated this way.
Yes, he's really upset with the conditions. He's upset with the overcrowding. He's upset with the fact that they're being jammed in together and they've got COVID-19. He's really genuinely upset, I think, on behalf of the people that are there.
So he's at least more consistent than AOC.
Yep, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
At least he's not lying about it like the Biden administration is.
Right. What are your thoughts, Ami?
It's really despicable. I mean, this is. I mean, I'd like to find some humor in this, but there isn't any humor.
No.
This is the government literally lying to us, trying to deceive us that this thing is solved when the problem is only getting worse. I mean, in March, 600% increase in the migrants at the border. This is, and Kamala Harris still has not gone to the border.
No, has no interest.
She still has not gone. She hasn't gone to a press conference. She hasn't gone to it. I don't care about this crisis. I find it. I get very upset when we say, "Why is there the word crisis?" I don't care what words you use. Okay. Mm-hmm. It points to a larger problem, which is there's the left is on two sides of this. On one side, they're doing it for political purposes because they think that the more illegal immigration they can bring in, the better their electoral chances are, which, by the way, they're incorrect about that. Right. But the other side of their party wants it because they have an ideological position that borders are evil and that we have wealth, they don't. Therefore, they should be able to come here and share the same wealth that we have. Yeah. And to hide this stuff because they know this is going to help them hide the bigger problem about these open borders, and that's what it essentially is. It really is. That's what it's come down to. This is an existential problem.
And the part that makes it even more agonizing is the fact that these are the same people who are yelling and screaming about Donald Trump and the border problem with the kids, that they were tearing children away from their parents and all of that
concentration
nonsense.
Camps, they called them. Yeah.
It shows you just how political that was, that they didn't really care about it. They were just scoring points against the Trump administration. Yeah. They don't care. It's the same people.
It really is. And I thought it's amazing. I wonder, are they so arrogant that they know that no one will hold them accountable? Or do they really just lack the self-awareness to understand how crazy the things are that they're saying? White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki blamed the nature of media for being a big driver behind the push to say that there was a border crisis. So she was on with David Axelrod on his podcast, and she said, White House in crisis, that's a big driver of it. And she said it like, this is the headline that we want, White House in crisis, that's a big driver of it. Sometimes the chyrons, the social media leads, they're looking for the nugget, right? And we were pushed and pushed and pushed. By the way, she did also say migrant surges are cyclical.
I'm sorry. She's saying that the media, who are their open allies, are driving the problem. What planet is she on? Where?
That's what I'm
maybe
wondering.
She's spending a lot of time on the Blaze. That'd be great. Maybe she's actually. I don't understand what she's talking about. They're covering for the administration, right? They're covering for them.
From the beginning.
I read the New York Times every day. It is, by the way, self-flagellation. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But every day I force myself to read it, and every day the coverage is, look what a wonderful job the administration is doing on the border, as opposed to big bad Trump, who's so evil and terrible, when they're doing the exact same thing.
If not worse.
If not worse, yes. But at least with the president, he was trying. There wasn't as many people coming to the border because they understood.
Right.
It was not open season for them. They weren't able to just cross the border. Right. The difference is that with this administration, he is actively saying, "Come, come." Right. Yeah. And then the whole thing is.
And on top of it, by quadrupling the numbers of refugees that we're going to allow in, he's further encouraged it to happen. Yeah. So there's going to be more people descending on our border.
That's a great point, and we didn't get a chance to cover that on the show yesterday, but I did see the headline. What is the cap now? It's like 62,000? 65,000.
Yeah, it's a little over 65,000 refugees. So they know, and we've told them again, okay, all you have to do is claim refugee status, and 65,000 people are going to be allowed in that way.
And I think that they doubled it for next year as well.
Yeah, it's up to 129,000 or something next year.
Which, if you saw Jen Psaki come out and talk on this, she said, "Well, we don't expect to hit that." And it's like, but why do you keep raising it then if you don't expect to hit it? Yeah, seems kind of like doublespeak a little bit.
But who cares about the number? Is meaningless because they're letting them in. They're letting hundreds of thousands of them in, whether or not they're actually have refugee status or not. It doesn't matter. It's semantics. Yeah. When you allow people to come across the border as they're doing in the thousands a day. What does it matter what the cap is? The cap is an arbitrary number.
That's a great point. All right, we've got more to come, but let's first thank our sponsor, Built Bar. So if you are looking for a good Mother's Day present, I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying I'm a mom and I really love Built Bar. In fact, I just ate my second one of the day, and you can go try to get like speedy shipping. I know Mother's Day is Sunday, okay? So don't forget, Mother's Day is Sunday. But in all seriousness, Built Bar is the most delicious tasting protein bar. All right, if you love chocolate, it is all covered in 100% chocolate, and it doesn't taste like cardboard, which is great when you're eating a protein bar. I know, Pat, you were surprised when you started eating them. You're like, this actually is really good.
And to not have that chemical taste afterwards, it's fantastic.
Sweet heat.
Yeah.
Sweet heat.
I am waiting for my sweet heat. It's funny, I took a screenshot. I haven't posted it yet. But I feel like people are always like, oh, whatever, you talk about the stuff and you don't actually eat it. And I just spent $50 at Built Bar's website last night because I needed to buy the sweet heat. And then I found some Built Boost that was root beer float flavored. And I was like, okay, I got to try that too. And then before I knew it, I had spent $50. But I do have a promo code that I used. So you can go to builtbar.com. It's BUILT bar.com. Use promo code NEWS15 to get 15% off of your order. It is builtbar.com. They've got so many flavors to choose from. You got to go there. builtbar.com, promo code NEWS15. Oh, we're talking about the border problem. The man that President Biden has picked to lead U.S. Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, actually in his job over as sheriff in Harris County, Texas, Sheriff Ed Gonzalez filed an emergency request to a federal court asking to release about 1,500 inmates from the county jail that he ran. Now, he claims that the prison was overcrowded, even though it had 9,000 people at the time, and that was 1,000 people less than the number of inmates housed the previous year. And by the way, many of the inmates that were included in this release request were, in fact, violent felons. But the prisons were overcrowded. So he wanted them all released onto the streets. And again, you may be saying to yourself, well, that's just one place in Harris County, Texas, not a big deal. How does that affect my life? Again, President Joe Biden has picked this man to lead U.S. Immigrations and Customs Enforcement. What could possibly go wrong, Ami?
I remember, I'm old enough to remember that when Joe Biden was giving a speech and he had a bunch of people there who were chanting, get rid of ICE, and he then looked over and said, I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
He said, give me 5 days or something, which was like, that's an odd number. Okay, that's very specific.
So therefore, is it surprising that he would pick somebody who probably detests ICE to begin with to lead ICE, to lead its demise and destruction, which is ultimately what they want? It's not surprising at all. And again, it goes to, and this gentleman, and I use that term loosely, when I go out and I speak with Black Lives Matter protesters, the thing you hear most often, or just as often as anything else, the mantra that they have is they want to get rid of the judicial system in general, because they see, when you use the word systematic racism, as Joe Biden has, those words have consequences. What people hear when they say those words is that it is all racist, particularly our prison systems, right? They don't ever talk about the amount of crime committed by the African American community in America. They only talk about how many African Americans are in prison. And therefore, because there's such a large percentage of them, the whole thing has to be taken out, root and all. This man is an example of that. So to have somebody who wants to get rid of the judicial system in control of ICE makes sense in the context of what this administration has been trying to do for the last 100 days, and unfortunately for the next 3 years.
Then people wonder why the crime rates are going up in places like Houston, Texas, which is where Harris County is. You start releasing 1,500, and many of them violent criminals, into the, just willy-nilly send them out into the street all of a sudden. You're going to have a problem with crime.
And by the way, I don't mean to interrupt you, but just to add to that point, the county had actually seen homicide cases increase by 25% at the time when he made the request.
And that kind of stuff's going on all over the country. And they're talking about, was it 76,000 they're talking about releasing in California right now? This is going on all over the country, and it's really alarming. And we need to stand up and insist that it stop.
At the same time that they are trying to, there's just a little assault on our Second Amendment going on.
Chaos.
Defund police.
Defund police.
You're not allowed to own a weapon, but also we're releasing a lot of violent criminals.
Here's some fun people to deal with on top of it.
Great.
Chaos isn't a bug in their system. Chaos is what they're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
It's chaos is a goal, not a bug. We have to understand. So all of this, if you ask why are they doing these things which make no sense, it does make sense to them. Because ultimately, if you want to destroy the system, you have to create chaos. Chaos will be the element that will destroy the system.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. All right, so we're talking about jail, prison. We're really quickly. We've only got a couple minutes here, but the South Carolina State House voted to add the firing squad to the list of the state's execution methods. So,
Are they taking volunteers?
I don't know. You should check it out. The legislation was approved 66-43. They will mandate that death row inmates select either firing squad or electrocution in the event that lethal injection drugs are not available at the time of their scheduled execution. So,
That's a tough choice.
isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I remember Utah used to have it. They used to give their prisoners, death row inmates, the choice.
Yeah.
You can either have the firing squad.
Okay.
You can hang.
Okay.
Or you get to face Old Sparky. And
I think I want the firing squad.
you think so?
Oh,
think so.
no question about it. First
Really?
of all,
Yeah.
I feel like it's over quicker.
No question.
You think?
Yeah, it's a little more badass too. To go down by being shot in firing squad,
Yeah.
that's pretty awesome.
Hanging doesn't sound
No,
pleasant.
that sounds
to
awful.
Me. I mean, shot in the head might not be that bad because you're gone quickly.
Right, that's what I'm thinking.
But the old way of hanging was better. They would put you on the yard arm and they'll show you, so you don't die being choking. Your neck snaps when you hit the bottom.
Oh, see, okay. Well, I'm going to need more clarification.
It's like
on
bungee
the
jumping going bad.
Right, because if
Yeah.
that's the case, that might be the way to go. Mm-hmm. I mean, just in case.
And why wouldn't the drugs be available? What
That's
did
they
mention
didn't
that?
say. That's a great point.
They're not,
I-
I don't think they're producing them anymore.
Oh, wow.
Here.
political
Look,
purposes.
they can't put anyone to death now because its supply of lethal injection drugs expired and it has not been able to buy anymore. So they just added the firing squad, but previously they could choose between the electric chair and the lethal injection.
Can't they just hire
So-
like Dr. Kevorkian? Is he still alive? He could just, he could just be the guy.
Is he alive?
I don't know.
If he is, he's got to be like
think so.
205.
Yeah, I feel like he's gone. I think we lost him.
Did we?
We lost him. I think
He's
so.
got to have
so
like
close.
mentees that he trained who can do this, right?
Maybe. I don't know.
Doesn't seem like that hard to create some kind of cocktail that will kill somebody. Can you drink yourself to death? Is that an option?
Oh, I'm totally in if that's
That'd
the
be
case.
pretty- that'd be a good
I'm
idea, too.
totally in. All right, we got to take a break. Back in a minute. It's just so bizarre.
It really is.
Hey, before we go, we talked yesterday about all of Ami's man on the street videos. You got to check them out. We've got a little clip from one of them that he did recently on asking people about how much they thought rich people and poor people paid in taxes. Here's a little of that.
So, do you think that the poor pay a higher percentage of their income?
Yes.
Or the rich
They do pay a higher percentage
The
of their
poor.
income. Yeah, they do, yeah.
Oh, the lower class, definitely.
pay more?
Yeah.
Lower income people. Poor people.
So the 1% earn
Gosh.
about 25% of all the income in America.
So well, there you go. If we're talking about fair share,
Right.
then, if you're bringing in 25% of the income, 25% of the taxes should also
That would be fair.
come. I would think so, yeah.
And would you be surprised if I told you that the top 1% pay 40% of all
I would be
taxes?
surprised, yeah.
Would it surprise you if I said the rich, the 1%, pay 40% of all taxes in America?
Interesting. Would surprise me. Yeah. Do they?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
It's a little more fair than you might have thought.
Yeah.
What percent guy's the best. of income do you think the top 1% pay?
I think they're paying like freaking 2% of that.
They're paying 27%.
Come on.
What?
27%.
2%. Just the
What?
2%.
How are people so deceived?
That's it really
Oh,
is
man.
sad. It really is sad. And
Wow.
we have Eric July come on here too, and he talks about how economically illiterate people are, and it's like, gosh, it's really
yeah.
true. It's really true. God bless you for going out there and
Yeah.
dealing with that nonsense. Because I don't know how do you ever just start cracking up?
No, I'm gonna cry. They've seen
You
why
laugh so you
are
don't
you
cry.
crying? What's wrong? It's so sad.
It's just the end of our nation. It's fine. It's totally fine. All right, make sure you check out Ami Horowitz on YouTube and everywhere you can find his videos.